Hello, welcome to the Can You Relate podcast by Darien Byrd. My name is Darien Byrd, and I'm hosting the Can You Relate podcast. I have a message that I want to share with the world. It's pretty much my life story. I want to give some inspiration out there, give some hope to people who feel like they don't have anything. Just want to be that beacon of light for other people, because I feel like I have something to talk about and I have something to share. So here we are. Now, I decided to name this first episode. I beat the statistics, but it wasn't luck. Okay. It was not luck. It took a lot of resilience. All right. So a little bit about me. So I grew up in Grand Junction, Colorado, grew up in a single parent household. I say single parent because my mom was a single parent. My father, my real dad, he was around. He lived in the same exact city as us, but he wasn't active. He had all kinds of different girlfriends, different kids at that. He was not active. And it was very hard to be around that, just thinking that you're not good enough. Like, what? You don't want to be around us? Like, we're not cool? Do you not love us? There was a time in my head. It's not just in my head, it's ingrained in my head because it was a real event. This actually happened. We were living on Hill Avenue, and my dad had a new girlfriend, right? My mom was on the phone with him, and she was screaming. They were arguing, whatever it was. And I remember my dad, or my mom was like, "Hey, your dad's on his way right now. He has something to tell you." And we are like, "Ooh, kind of excited, right? We're kind of excited." We heard him before we seen him. So we ran outside, heard his car coming down the street. We were in the middle of the street. Didn't even pull into the driveway. We were in the middle of the street. He got out of the car with him and his new girlfriend and his new son. And it was me, my brother, my little sister, and my mom. We were standing there. My mom's crying. And my dad was like, "Hey, I don't want to be your father no more. I don't want to be your dad no more." Kissed us all on the head, got in his car and drove off. My mom was crying. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, what does that mean? He doesn't want to be my dad no more. What does that mean? Maybe my brother understood it at the time. He was older than us by like 3 years, but I couldn't understand that. And still to this day, I can't understand that. I can't understand why you didn't want to be my dad. Like, whatever. So yeah, I grew up without a father in the house, but my mom ended up remarrying my stepdad. She met my stepdad while he was in prison. He was actually cellies with one of my dad's friends, Carl, I think his name was. His nickname was Ski. So the story that I was told was my stepdad was going through pictures that Carl had and was like, "Ooh, I like her. I want to talk to her." And then started writing letters to my mom. They met in prison and then got married. And then it's how they met. And so my stepdad, we knew he had a cocaine addiction, but we didn't know like how messed up his childhood was. So to give you a background, because I'm not trying to shade, I'm put blame on my parents because they did their absolute best. But we have to point out where they were lacking as well. And it's probably just due to trauma and just how they grew up. My mom lost her mom when she was 17 years old to diabetes. She was a child when she lost her mom. My real dad, he lost his mom. She was murdered when he was 14, 15 years old. He was a child when he lost his mom. My mom didn't have an active father in her life either. My dad didn't have an active father in his life either. Okay. So the two parents that raised me lost their mothers as kids before they had kids, had to deal with that. Also didn't have a stable household because their father wasn't present. So, I mean, of course, you don't have a framework on how to be a parent. You're going to try your absolute best with what you know? So I don't put blame on them. I just try to understand now that I'm a little bit older. My stepdad had a terrible life too, terrible life. And I do I feel bad even mentioning it, so I'm not really gonna bring it up, but his mother passed away when he was a baby. She got into a car crash with him in the back seat and ended up dying in the car crash. He was a baby. His father was around, but he was not active. He was actually the complete opposite. He was an evil man, evil, evil man. So my stepdad grew up horrible as well. So all the people that raised me didn't have stable households. They didn't. So I can't blame them. I can't blame them. But I can just talk about my life and how I perceived that situation when I was a little kid. So I had an absent father. My mom was a single mom. She tried her absolute best, was working all the time because she was the only one that could provide for 3 kids. She was doing her best, and I applaud her for that. I'm very proud of her for raising me and my siblings the way that she did because we all turned out amazing. We might be a little messed up, but we're pretty successful, and none of us went to jail. None of us had drug addictions. We're all active in everybody's life. So my mom did something right. And as I got older, I started to realize the things that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to be like my real dad. I didn't want to be like my stepdad. Now, usually it's the opposite. When you're growing up with somebody who's kind of healthy and stable, you want to be like them. And this is how I knew that it was unhealthy because my dad tried to be a gang member. Maybe he was, I don't know. But in my mind, he was trying to be a gang member because he's actually a very sweet person. He ain't no gang member. But there was a time where my mom went to go drop him off something, and then we were driving away, and he was hanging out with his boys, and he threw up a gang sign to us. And I remember that gang sign. I'm not gonna throw it up on this camera, but I remember the gang sign. I remember being in the back seat practicing the gang sign with my hand, and I wanted to be just like my dad. When I found out that he went to jail, he went to prison, I wanted to go to prison. I wanted to go to jail. I wanted to be just like him. Even though he wasn't in my life, I wanted to be just like him, you know? So as I got older and I started thinking for myself, I'm like, I don't want to be nothing like this man. I don't want to be nothing like him at all. Nothing like my stepdad. I don't want to be nothing like them. When I was in first grade, the teacher, Miss Taylor, she had told us to bring our parents to school for show off your parents pretty much. It was Father Day, really. Father work day. They just bring your father and they'll talk about their work. Okay. I didn't have a father. My father didn't show up. We were living in Denver at the time because my mom had left Grand Junction to move to Denver to get away from my real dad. So we were living in Denver. First grade, Miss Taylor asked us to bring our fathers to school. My father didn't show up. Every kid in my class's father showed up, and it was a cool sight because seeing all their fathers do different things. They all had different professions, different jobs. They all looked different, different colors, different heights, different sizes. It was cool to see them. And in my mind as a kid, I'm like, ooh, I want to be a father. I would love to be a father because I'm over here missing out on my father. Like, I would love to be a father. Would love it. So I set out to be a father. That was my main goal. I wanted to be a father, and I became a father. I knew I didn't want to go to jail, even though at times I did dumb things that could land me in jail. And there was a few moments where I was like, if I get caught, I'm going to jail. I don't even care. I was almost like wearing it like a badge of honor. If I go to jail, I'm going to make so many people in my life proud. Do you see how flawed that thinking is? So I can understand when people say you are your environment. You're a product of your environment. Because I was supposed to go to jail. I was supposed to be a drug addict. I was supposed to do everything that I saw. I was supposed to do all of that stuff, but I didn't. So here we are. So after that, I realized that I just, I had to develop, I can't say discipline, but when you grow up in an unstable household, in an unstable environment, you kind of have to actively choose to do the right thing because you're around bad things all of the time. It's like your norm, okay? So when I talk about me being proud, I never went to jail and I never been on drugs, it's because I'm actually proud that I made those decisions to never do that, okay? If you grew up in a healthy household and you saw like positivity, you have to actually try to do bad shit. You can't just, it doesn't just happen. You kind of have to seek out the bad, because that's not your norm. When you're living in an unstable environment and all you see is negativity and like harsh emotions, that is your norm. So for you to want to do good, you have to actively try to do good. That's the difference between a lot of people. You have to understand that. So for me growing up, being in an unstable household, I had to actively choose to do good and do right and try my best. I had to actively choose that. Developing discipline to do that. Okay. That was very hard to do. very hard to do because I still battle with it. And up until this point, I still feel like I'm in survival mode. I've been in survival mode and I'm going through an identity crisis right now. That's kind of why I started this podcast because I'm trying to put my message out there. I want to let people know that, hey, you're not alone. Like we all go through horrible things. We all have childhood trauma that we have to heal from. And this is the way that I'm choosing to heal is by sharing my message and see if anybody can relate to me. So now that I'm an adult, I am choosing to refuse to let everything that I've gone through bring me down. Okay. I don't want to become what hurt me. It's so easy to do that because misery loves company, right? That's a saying that everybody should know. Misery loves company. It's like it's very easy to do the things that you saw when you were growing up. So now that I have kids, now that I'm a father, I recognize that, but I'm doing it in a healthy way. So whenever I see my kids in the morning, the first thing I say is, good morning, in a very sweet tone of voice. Good morning. How did you sleep? Did you dream about anything? That's amazing. I love you so much. Kiss on the forehead every morning. That's their normal. So now when I walk by my kids, what do they say? Good morning, Dad. How did you sleep? Do you see what I'm going with this? You're a product of your environment. You have to be conscious of what you're doing. Okay? You have to be conscious of what you're doing. Now, I decided to break the cycle. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to set out to break the cycle. I didn't want to become my environment. I wanted to beat the statistics. I wanted to be an active father. I wanted to be an active husband. I wanted to be a present friend. I wanted to do these things that I never had the opportunity to experience when I was a kid. Okay, I wanted to be an active father, so I became a father. All right, I'm in my kid's life every day. I'm nice to my wife. I've never hit my wife before. I don't hurt my kids. I don't hurt my people. I love them to death. I will do anything for them. So, what breaking the cycle means for me now is just doing everything that I didn't have as a kid. Okay, we grew up without a lot. My mom was not a financially successful person. Okay. She didn't have a lot of money. We grew up on Section 8. We had food stamps. We grew up on government assistance. All right. She was not financially stable whatsoever, but she was very successful in her spirit. She did give us a lot of love. She spoke a lot of life into us. And I appreciate my mom for that. I really do. I love her so much because of that. I built a career. I built a barber career that is thriving right now. I'm doing very good. And I'm proud of myself for doing that. There's been many times where I walked away from barbering because I felt like it was taking me away from my family, but it was not. It was just me being in survival mode, just trying to figure it out. So I would stop relationships with people, stop cutting hair. I stopped doing a lot of things because I felt like that's what I needed to do. So I started self-isolating a lot. And it was not healthy for myself. And recognizing that as an adult now, I'm able to pinpoint these things inside my clients. I'm able to see when they're struggling a little bit. I'm able to see when they're short on life and just short on inspiration, short on anything. I'm able to spot that out because I've been in their shoes. I've been there. So I'm able to kind of speak a little bit of life into them, give them a little bit of motivation, a little bit of insight, just a little bit of little kick in their step. You know what I'm saying? Like I try to do that for my people. I want to be a safe place for them because too many times I didn't feel safe in my own home. So I'm trying to do that for my people. I literally became the man I needed growing up. I turned into him. I still have a lot more to work on, but I became the man that I needed. And I'm proud of myself. My kids will never, ever, ever, ever know what it feels like to be neglected by me. Never, never. They'll never be able to experience that. Never. All right. So that was just a little segment of my life. We got way more coming, but I just wanted to get some out there, wanted to put some out there because I'm really trying to embark on this new journey and just share my stories. Hope I could be a beacon of hope to a lot of other people. Just a little beacon, just out there in the distance. See that light, you go towards it. That's what I want to be for people. Just know that you could be safe, you could share everything you need. And I'm the guy. I'm the guy for you. So, Can You Relate podcast with Darien, episode 1. I beat the statistics, but it wasn't luck. Appreciate y'all for tuning in.